interchangeable, so we'll just get going.
Take it. Yeah.
Michaela, did you want to start?
It is.
Oh, thank you for starting that. I wasn't looking, I was
They're prepared.
going through my notes, so. Okay, housekeeping items. I know you guys all love this part when I get up here and say, okay, remember. Okay, overnight shifts. If you do overnight shifts, I know that's not everybody, but we just want to remind people that those are awake shifts. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me. Just also a reminder, don't forget to clock in and out. That is how we keep track of whether the caregiver was there, whether they stayed the whole shift, all that kind of stuff. I know some of you guys work for MAD clients, and there's sometimes up to 3 places that you might think you have to clock in on. You can just pick one, clock in and out. So, let's see. In service, if you're here in person, which means everybody here, you get paid. So thank you for taking the time to come. Continuing education is really important to us, and we're glad that you made time to come and to learn. So, next thing, remember all communication goes through the office. So if you have somebody that's asking you to stay longer on a shift, you always need to check in with the office, but we would prefer that you tell the client, hey, can you talk to the office about that? Some of our clients have enough cognitive function and they can make that choice, but not all of them do. And so that's why we just like you guys to check in with us. Same thing, if they're trying to send you home, please offer to do things around the house. Don't just say, oh, see you, bye, right? Again, if you have any questions you need clarified, you guys can always give me a call. Let's see. Also a reminder, private duty care for Aspen clients outside of Aspen is a violation of contracts. Not only the client, but also for you guys. When you come on, you sign a little thing that says you're not going to work privately for a client. This really is to protect you guys. When you are doing personal care for, client care without a company, we have insurance and things like that, which will cover you guys in situations if something should happen, right? It's a protection thing. So if one of your clients does say, hey, can you come work for us and not go through Aspen, please contact the office right away so that we can help you with that. And let's see, I think that's it for housekeeping. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Yes.
Do we record the hour of this in-service in our timesheet, or is the sign-in?
So when you sign in, it does, but if you would like to put that on your timesheet, that's totally fine too.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, today we have Tim Kraker here. Good. He likes helping people enjoy a life of greater happiness, peace, and rest. He has spent the past 17 years helping people work through symptoms of depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress. He also works with athletes and musicians, which I thought that was really neat, on developing mindset for competition and performances. Sometimes I feel like you kind of need to do that when you're sending your kids out the door for school.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can do this. So Tim graduated from UCLA with a degree in English literature, and University of Phoenix Master's in Business Administration. And then University of San Diego with a master's in marriage and family therapy. And you like to work as a therapist and coach. You tried the business world, and that was not doing it for
Wasn't
you.
doing it for me. No, it's
So,
not doing it for me.
so yeah, we are really excited to have you come and talk to us. Just be better prepared for some of the situations that we deal with as caregivers. So we shall turn the time over.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. I'm grateful that we get to spend time together. Tell me a little bit about what you do.
Wow, whatever they want.
Well, what we want to help them with.
I joke because I question of like, describe your job, but poorly, and so I say, I go into people's homes and I pretend to be their mom.
Can you pretend to be the mom? Good. For what age group of the child? I know it's adults, but what age group do you feel like you're working with?
It depends what conditions they have.
Yeah.
Adults or senior adults or just seniors.
Good. So why this? I mean, you could have been a trash truck driver. You could have been
It's fulfilling.
sucking stuff out of outhouses. Like, why did you choose this?
This is fulfilling.
It's fulfilling. What's fulfilling about it?
Helping people,
Mm-hmm.
making their day better,
Yeah,
making their life a little easier.
yeah. And when you feel like you've done that, how do you feel inside?
Very good.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Isn't this interesting? And when you feel like you've done your job well, do you feel closer to the person you work with or farther away from them?
Closer.
You feel closer to them. And as a human, it's kind of fascinating. We come into this world immediately in need of what? When we're born.
Or dependent.
We're dependent. Companionship. What's that?
Affection.
Affection. Yeah. We have to have that. And if we don't have it, what literally can happen to us? Oh, by the way, I like to be interactive, so I'm probably yeah, I picked up on
We
that.
cry.
already. Good. So
I think you die.
Well, yeah,
I mean, you can give up hope.
you literally will die. The body actually starts to atrophy. So if you look at studies, you look at like I don't even remember where it was now. Was it Ukraine? I can't remember. Romanian kind of like orphanages.
Yes.
And where they kind of put them in the crib, and then it was like maybe throw a bottle in the crib. When you look at brain scans, what do you notice the difference? Do you remember those images? So a nurtured child will have a brain that looks like this big, and a child that has been unnurtured or untouched, their brain will look, I'm trying to make it look smaller, their brain will look like this. Okay, so literally atrophy kicks in for humans. We cannot survive in the world unless we connect and care for each other. And that starts from birth. Now, as part of that connection process and that birthing process, we start to instinctively recognize, wow, I can't survive in the world without the care of another human being. Now, who here thinks they could survive in the world without the care of another human being or another mammal? You literally can't survive. Like even this building, do you know that somebody else is making it possible for us to have light right now? Somebody else is making it possible for us to record this. Somebody else is making it possible for you to have a job. Somebody else made it possible for you to sit in a chair and have a rug on the floor and have painted walls and sheetrock. Isn't that crazy? So like, as independent as we think that we are, we actually, we're not. Like we have to have each other in order to survive. And this is what makes loss. What? I want you to answer that. This makes loss what?
Devastating.
Did you say suck?
Sad.
Oh, sad. She's the cusser in the group. She's the one that always uses profanity. I can tell. Okay, so it makes it sad, it does suck. What else?
Devastating.
Devastating.
Lonely, I think.
I don't know. Empty.
Empty, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it's not a super fun feeling, to go through loss. Which, did you know that's what we're talking about today? Okay. If you didn't, you do now. Okay. So, loss happens in the world. So that's what we're gonna focus on today. Before we do though, tell me, we're gonna do this really quickly, so you already had a little bit of an introduction. I grew up in California. I loved playing sports when I was a kid and played basketball in high school. Interestingly, the University of San Diego kept sending me letters like, come down and see our basketball program and maybe we could have a match here. And I didn't, so I ended up going on a mission for my church and then going to college. And then I went to grad school. It wasn't until I graduated from grad school, I was like going through a photo album or something, and there was a letter from USD. I'm like, oh my gosh, this was the school. I was telling my wife, like, they were asking me to come play here. She's like, really? So, anyway. I have 6 kids, and I still play basketball to this day. I'm kind of, my bright me, I'm feeling it right now, just a little bit from playing on Monday. We're gonna play again tomorrow morning, I can't wait. So, anyway, quickly tell me your name and one thing you love about life.
Okay, I'm Lucy, and I love nature, flowers, roses.
Beautiful. We'll just kind of go like this.
I'm Dana, and I love family.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you.
I need to do family, so I'll say people.
Okay. And what's your name?
Teresa.
Okay. Great.
I'm Eliza, and I love animals, small pets. I have several. Ask me about it later.
I will, because I have a daughter who loves animals too. I think she loves them more than humans. So,
I'm Alexa and I love music.
beautiful. Thank you.
I'm Johnny Sue and I love life.
Great.
Can't beat that answer.
Yeah, you just captured it all.
I'm Emma and I love sports.
Cusser. I'm just kidding. You probably never even said a cuss word in your life.
I'm Connie and I love being able to be creative.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm Lara. Everyone else is taking notes.
I know.
It's like the same thing. I love dessert, sweet.
Dessert. Oh, see, that's an original right there.
I was just gonna say, yeah, all the above, except, I mean, sports is okay, but nature, music, and, you know.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Your name is
Oh, April, yes,
April.
spring.
I'm Ty and I like movies.
Great. Oh well, some original stuff. Thanks, Ty.
I'm Nancy and I like sunshine.
Oh my gosh. It is about freaking time. I live on the Midway and it has just been like, oh. Okay, great. I'm the cusser. I just said freaking. Okay.
And I'm Tori and I like the cold.
Oh, you, oh.
That's because she grew up in
Do you like sunshine or no sunshine?
It's okay, I like
It's
cloudy
okay.
days.
Okay, all right.
I'm Julie Staples and I love this company and all the people that work to make it happen. And I think as you talked about connection, wow, look at the connection we all are having with each other, and then we get to go out and do good things. So that's what I
Yeah,
love.
thanks,
That was more
thanks,
than one
Julie.
word.
I didn't use that part. Those people, okay, well, Aspen.
Julie, it's all good.
Thanks, Julie.
I'm Allison, and
I'll tell you
I'll
what
just,
she loves helping people.
service is my love language.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
So she's so nice.
Great. Yeah, you know, you don't get into this line of work if service isn't your love language. Like, it's kind of like it's embedded in you, and it's like, oh, I've got to do this. I've got to connect with people on a more human level. And I remember, as you said, Allison, like, did I write that down? That I tried the business world and didn't like, or did you just get
I think I told her.
Oh, you think, okay, yeah, I just couldn't get enough out of it. It was like, it was kind of cool to do projects and have these goals, but it was like, I was always left me wanting, like, what is this, who cares about this really, you know? People make whiteboards, I'd gouge my eyes out if this was my job, to make a whiteboard. But at the same time, it's somebody else's vision and dream and they're passionate about it. And I think they're really cool, because then I can do presentations and put things up on whiteboards, and it's kind of fun. I have another workshop tonight I'm doing, and we use a whiteboard, and I'm grateful for someone who did that, but that's not my gig. That doesn't like stir me and make me like feel like I'm on fire with life. But when you can find that thing that does make you feel like you're on fire with life, and Ty, we're alone in here, bro. It's just me and you. We're the only, what is it, X chromosome, or which one are we?
Y.
Or Y. We're the only
You don't have an X though, so you're okay.
Keep track of that either.
See that? It's like so many females, I just think I'm one, I guess. All right, so we're gonna do some things. I wanna, if somebody will read this for us, that would be great. Who'd be willing to just read? Anyone?
I'll read.
Okay. Yeah, just let's pay close attention, okay?
Oh, okay. Today was the absolute worst day ever. And don't try to convince me that there's something good in every day, because when you take a closer look, this world is a pretty evil place. Even if some goodness does shine through once in a while, satisfaction and happiness don't last. And it's not true that it's all in the mind and heart, because true happiness can be obtained only if one's surroundings are good. It's not true that good exists. I'm sure you can agree that. The reality creates my attitude. It's all beyond my control. And you'll never in a million years hear me say that today was a good day. And then it says, now read from the bottom to the top. Good day, day, good.
Oh, no,
No, just.
you'll
Oh my
read,
gosh.
yeah.
I'm doing
So
it
read from
literally
left to right, but
backwards.
then up, yeah.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Today was a good day, and you'll never in a million years hear me say that. It's all beyond my control. My attitude creates the reality. I'm sure you can agree that it's not true that good exists, only if one's surroundings are good. True happiness can be obtained because it's all in the mind and heart. And it's not true that satisfaction and happiness don't last. Some goodness does shine through once in a while, even if the world is a pretty evil place. Because when you take a closer look, there's something good in every day. And don't try to convince me that today was the absolute worst day ever.
Wow. What do you, yeah, that's good. What kind of thoughts and feelings did you have as you listened to that?
It's a choice. Happiness is a choice.
Okay, okay.
You can make a lemonade out of a lemon.
Or
Nice.
perspective of life.
Yeah, perspective. What about perspective?
It's how you take it, how you decide you want to create the situation and take it home, or think about it.
That's right. Other thoughts and feelings?
Don't postpone happiness. Sure, feeling sad, feeling like today's a bad day, is valid in the moment, and you deserve to seek something better. But don't put off, I'll be happy when this, you can choose to be happy now. There's something good to see. There's something to give you that joy. It's a choice.
Yeah. Here and then here.
Sorry, I'm gonna get, I can't help but go back to the classic, I don't know, you probably have word, man's search for meaning. And he talks about, you have to have hope and everything. One other point that I got from it is that you do have to acknowledge what's going on inside. It wasn't I can't remember all the terminology now. So when you're being positive, you don't want to just go, oh, you can acknowledge that you don't feel good or the things, but you're going to have you're going to try to do something about it, you're going to try to work, I just like to say that because sometimes I think because at some point you have to acknowledge that you're hurting or that there's something, feelings, and then
And
you
you
work
guys,
through that.
You go, this is good. This is good. You can tell your caregivers, this is good.
I felt a lot of sympathy reading it through the first time because I know that there's like that's not a mindset that you put yourself in to like get people to feel bad for you. Like that is something that people really feel,
Yeah.
and I just like felt so much like how important it is to show other people that happiness does exist, because you can be that light. If you're in a good place in your life, you can spread that around, and then when you're in a dark place, other people can help you too. So I just felt a lot of sympathy for that person who really felt like there wasn't any happiness in the world.
Yeah, thank you. I feel that every day in my office, like people come in, there's real struggles in the world, and I love this idea. We're going to talk about this today. The idea that two things can be true at once. And you can have suffering, you can also have optimism and have a hopeful outlook on your day-to-day life. So both of those can be true. Let's for a moment, what do you when you hear the word loss, what does it mean to you?
Losing a loved one.
Okay.
Mine's just sad because loss could be someone dying, or it could be that you lost like a divorce, or there's different types.
Yeah. What else?
I guess it's closing a door, but realizing that another one may open.
Okay. Yeah. Other thoughts or feelings?
A lot of time loss feels out of your control.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh. I hate being out of control. Like, I don't want to feel helpless in the world. Yeah. Yep. Out of your control. Wow, this is powerful. Like, let me just give you some cheap dictionary definitions. The fact or process of losing something or someone. The state of feeling of grief when deprived of someone or something of value. So, wow, and as human beings, you come into this world and you have to be attached to another human being to survive. If you stuck that infant, it's kind of a morbid thought, but if you stuck that infant out into a field and left it alone, it cannot survive. It will die within a day or two. So we literally are dependent on each other for survival purposes. And so when loss comes, it's a reminder of just how fragile our existence is. Yet, do we want to walk around like fragile little birds all the time? No, because that's a scary place to be. But it's also acknowledging, wow, yeah, you can get hurt in the world. We have a friend from our neighborhood who just died last week in a terrible car accident. It just rocked our whole, like everyone was like, what just happened? And some of us knew him well, some of us didn't know him that well at all. He was actually a pretty private guy and kind of played things close to the vest. So, but there was still that sense, and then the grief you felt for the family members, the surviving family members. He had 5 kids and a wife that he left behind. Okay. I'm about to ask a question now that I want you to think very hard before you answer, if you choose to answer it out loud. Okay? This is a public setting. You're at work. And if you do not feel safe talking from this perspective, it's okay if you don't. Okay? If you do feel comfortable, then that's great. Has anyone had a loss in their life recently? And it could be a loss of a loved one through death. It could be loss of a marriage. It could be, has anyone had a loss recently in their life that's impacted them? Could be a lot, maybe it's someone you're caring for.
I did.
Okay, we'll go back here and then we'll come back there.
Again, it's how you define loss. I moved from one house to another house, and in going through that transition, I had to eliminate a lot of my belongings. And so I found that to be a loss, and I found that I had to grieve the passing of that house and that time in that house and my possessions and the memories that were attached to all of those possessions. So that was been a recent loss. And then I have had losses of relatives and clients. All of those go into different stages of them passing. But learning to work through the grieving process of those loss is also a recognition of a new beginning, or a turn the chapter, turn the page, start again, and be able to pick up the pieces, acquire new belongings, cherish what you have, and be able to put all of that into perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Well said, thank you.
Not long, well, almost a 10 months ago, I lost my client that I've been with for 4 years. And I'm a very positive person, and I know there's a beyond. But for some reason, I fell into anxiety.
Yeah.
It hit me hard to the point where I couldn't sleep. I had fear of going to sleep and not being able to wake up. And so I'm dealing with this, and I'm crying. All of a sudden I start crying, during the day. And my sister said, you need to change, go to school, study, focus on something different, So I talked to the counselor and I said, I'm dealing with this. And she goes, you need to cope. You need to train your brain, and instead of thinking of the negative and the sad and the loss, focus on, oh look, the sun is out, or look at the flowers. Just train your brain, change it. If it feels sad, change it to happy. And so coping mechanism helped me, because I knew that was not me, I knew this is not me. This is something that's dragging me down. So
isn't it? I mean, this is the power that we're talking about of loss. The impact that it can have on you literally can change your whole viewpoint of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Exact same words, exact same experiences that you're having day in and day out. You always looked at flowers before your client's death. You always looked at the sun. You always looked at the clouds, and you were like enamored, and you felt so grateful. And then all of a sudden, you can have a loss in your life, and it changes your whole perspective. And now all of a sudden, you walk right past the flowers. All of a sudden, you don't look up to the sky and see the clouds and the sun.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you forget that you have other relationships in your life that are starving for your attention. Really, this is the impact. This is how profound it is when we lose
something. It was literally heavy. I felt like
Yeah.
something on top of me, keeping me down.
Yeah, well, thank you. Eliza, did you have your hand?
No,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. All right, so, I love this idea, and it's been brought up a couple times. Loss is happening every single day, and so is birth. The yin-yang symbol, I always like it. There's this like fine line. It's like, when is it black, when is it white? And you look at, I remember when I was single and then I got married, and all of a sudden I would notice my thoughts going, oh my gosh, I remember those days I could just get up and go do whatever I wanted, and it was like, I could like be free, and so.
Stay up late.
Yeah, it's like I didn't have somebody say, come to bed. Yeah, so we look at this, and it was the death of my life as a single person. But it was the birth of what?
Your new life.
My new life with my wife. She was so rad, and she still is. But like it was so great to be with her, and we'd have these fun times, and we were in grad school, well, not together, she was with me. I took her to Syracuse. Before we got married, she's like, her mom goes, you better go with him. I know he hasn't asked you to marry, but if you get married, you want to say and where he goes to grad school. So she flew with me to New York. I interviewed at Syracuse University. It was like May, and there was snow everywhere, and she's crying, going, I could never live here. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And like, you should have done the interviews in spring. And they said, this is spring. And we had like 260 straight days of snowfall. It was crazy. And then we went to the University of San Diego. Oh my gosh, there's kids in flip-flops and bathing suits and like tank tops, and she was like just beaming when I came out of the interview. Like, hey, how's your day go? She's like, this is the best place ever. And then we got married, we went to grad school there, we would take rides to the beach. I mean, how cool was that I had somebody, a companion that I could go do really great stuff with. And then we had our first child.
Oh, it all ended again.
And now the death of just the two of us and the birth of 3. Oh, and what a joy he was, staying up all night, pooping. We had to, yeah. How great was that? So now you like mourn. Like, and literally I would go through a mourning process of, I wish we could just be together, the two of us again. Can anyone take this kid? Like, hit the road. And then came baby number 2. It was the loss of just the 3 of us. Oh my gosh, remember when we just used to take James and it was just like, oh my God, and now this punk is here. It's like, come on. But then all of a sudden there was the joy of the 4 of us being together. And this happened 4 more times until we got to like 6. We said, we better stop. So every day there is birth and death. Birth and death. It's happening all around you. We gave birth to our relationship together about 30 minutes ago. And guess what? That moment is over with now. It's gone. I know.
Oh, man.
Exactly. We'll never get it back. You're like, I liked when he sat there quietly because I could just project onto him who I thought he was. He's crazy now. So this piece of life, we are dealing with loss all day long. And some loss we deem as less consequential, and some we think is very consequential in our life. But you're exactly right. With every death comes a new birth, a new opportunity to see the world through a different lens, to see it differently than how we saw it originally. And so even though it's hard to lose somebody, when we stop for just a moment, we get to see, okay, what is the beauty I am supposed to see in this? What is the blessing that I'm supposed to see in this, if you want to? The alternative is what? To suffer with anxiety, sleepless nights, sorrow-filled days, which is okay. Now, I'm going to do something that's a little bit different of a perspective too, because I want to now look at how this impacts a team of people, which is what you are. Okay, so we're going to do a little assignment here. This is going to take some coordinating. You're all going to work together on this. Okay, so you're going to have to get out of your seats. But this is, these are how groups are developed and dismantled. So here we go. I'm just going to kind of lay stuff out on the floor. And you're going to have to do some reading together. And then what we're going to do is you're going to kind of map these out for me. You're going to have to match them. This is so fun. I get a litter all over your office. Okay, so I'll let you guys come up here. Like literally find these words, put them in the order that you think that they go. Okay?
And they don't have to get out of their chairs.
You gotta get out of your chairs, yeah.
Okay.
And I
So
gotta
this
make sure I
phrase
get them all.
is the dissolution of the group and the end of a project or end of a team or era.
Which one do you think that goes with?
Performing, I'm thinking the team.
And I lost, one of these got lost, it didn't get put in here.
Is
There's
this
another-
the one that's lost?
Nope, that's here.
This
So
one
we're-
sounds like the last, cause it's saying a resolve.
Okay, so this one is, this phase is the dissolution of the group. That means the group is done with, it's over. And the end of a project, or end of a team or era.
Morning.
Oh, okay, yes, we just got it. This is a match right here. I'm gonna let you hold these two together, okay? There's one that should say forming on it, and I have no idea where it went. Forming, there's one that says forming.
Do you wanna just pick that one up and read it, and then we can do this
Yep,
quickly?
okay, go ahead. Okay,
Stage of team development.
oh, what does that sound like?
Forming.
Forming, okay. So I don't have, no, that one's,
The forming is the one.
the forming is the one I left out. Okay,
Okay.
so,
Lucy, do you wanna read that one? So we can do this quick.
With group norms and rules established, group members focus on achieving common goals, often reaching an unexpectedly high level of success. By this time, they're motivated and knowledgeable. The team members are now competent, autonomous, and able to handle the decision-making process without supervision.
okay, so, performing, okay, let's do it. Go with performing. Okay, what does this one say?
Gotta be wrong.
What does that one say right there?
This one's about resolved disagreements and personality clashes result in greater intimacy and spirit of cooperation emerges. So
Okay,
it sounds more like a resolution.
Norming.
okay, so now you start norming,
Yeah.
okay? And then, wait, is this the one? Oh, who wants to read this one?
Dan,
The team meets and learns about the opportunities and challenges and then agrees on goals and begins to tackle the task. Team members tend to behave quite independently. They may be motivated but are usually relatively uninformed of the issue and objectives of the team. Team members are usually on their best behavior but very focused on themselves.
Oh, wait a second.
Focus on themselves.
I see this one.
It's on their best behavior.
Performing.
what was the one you were missing?
Okay, and then that one's the end, yeah, okay. Let me just, this actually is forming. That's the forming one.
This is-
Oh, yeah. So this one, the storming stage, so you form the group, then the group starts storming together. And this is when it'll create a ton of anxiety in this phase for people because it's a new group dynamic and people are like, what the heck? This isn't how it used to be, and what are we gonna do with it? How is this gonna change? What are we gonna do to make it better? Okay, and people will start vying for position during this phase of a group and kind of like, hey, well, when the cat's away, the mice will play, like, I think I'm gonna be the next boss or whatever, and people will start jockeying for position, okay? So pecking orders will come into play. Okay, you can all sit down. Wow, you guys are so good. Okay. Now,
You're totally fine. I was like, oh.
here is what, welcome. Now, this is why I bring this up, because this is happening throughout your life, and I want to be sensitive to Julie, but clearly there was a pretty significant loss that happened at this company, which was what? The passing of who?
Gary.
The passing of Gary. Yeah, so that's a significant loss. This is the mourning phase or the adjourning phase. So now you're saying, okay, what was, there is now, that sets up a loss. The group dynamic is no longer the same. Even if you want it to be, guess what? It's not. You can't have it be the same. Because everyone brings their own unique talents, gifts, and skills to the table, period. So, wait, this is dry eraser right here. Yeah. Allison.
Or should we?
Should be.
Yes.
Oh yeah, dry erase marker.
You can just have it there for.
Sorry, I don't read that well without my glasses. I don't even know where I put them, and so then.
That's
Okay,
another
and
loss.
then this is kind of the effectiveness of the team. So it looks something like this. Oops, too much. So, at the forming phase, there's not necessarily much productivity because what? You're just forming whatever. It's like you're kind of regrouping together as a team. And then what do you think happens during the storming phase?
Dips.
It's going to take a dip. And the reason it takes a dip is because why? Who here likes change, by show of hands? Like, we don't like change that much. I mean, we can say like it's fun, right? Like there's some of it that's fun. And it brings, like we said, new opportunity. Every loss also brings a birth to the table. So there's great opportunity, but a lot, when we lose things in our life, you are kind of in a storming phase of like, oh, I'm overwhelmed, the grief, it's too much, yeah. And then eventually we move into the norming. What do you think norming is, just if you used your own words?
Finding the balance.
What's that?
I'm gonna take it from the word to normalize.
Yes.
Yeah.
All of a sudden people are like, okay, we get it now. Okay, you're doing that thing over there. I'm doing this thing. You're taking on this role. I'm taking on that role. And people adjust and they go, okay, I'm feeling pretty good now. Like, I think we got our bearings now. And then we move into what?
Perform.
What do you think when we're performing, what do you think happens?
Everybody's doing what they're supposed to, and if everything's working out good.
Yeah. Assuming that you got players in the game that you can work with and that are helping you, you know what I mean? So, and then they call this the adjourning phase. They didn't know what to call it. Like they added it on later in the gentleman Tucker, who came up with this. He added it later in his career, but the idea was that groups dissolve at some point. So if one of you resigned, guess what phase you'd be in? You would be, and so they were like, oh, well, they were trying to make it rhyme because forming, storming, norming, performing. And so then somebody said, how about morning instead of adjourning, whatever. So you kind of, this is when there's kind of a dissolving of the group as it once was. So I just walked you through my own life. So what phase was this? When I got married. And then we were feeling pretty good, but whoa, man, we had a few adjustments we had to go through. It was like she wanted money and I couldn't figure out why. I felt like I'm supposed to be the man of the house and make money, so I got all frustrated. And she's like, and then she like stuck a knife in me. She's like, my dad never yelled at me my whole life. I can't believe you would raise your voice at me. And I'm like, oh, so shameful. So, but then all of a sudden we worked, that was the storming phase, and then we got kind of used to it, and now it's like we are in a rhythm. We're a freaking machine in our house. It is like, and then guess what happened? As soon as the first one came along, the group dissolved, as it once was. We had to do what? Form a new group. There was a storming phase. 2 o'clock in the morning, I am not pretty at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, it doesn't serve me well. It doesn't serve my wife well. Yet, if we put the kid out in the field, he'd die. So what did we do? We will keep you alive. As hard as this is. So, recently, within the last year, with the passing of Gary, what happened? What phase were you in of group dynamics? I'm pointing at it. Change. The mourning phase. The dissolving of the group as it once was. You don't have to do this, but now I want to move into this idea of how do you work with loss? And you guys have said it beautifully in here today. And it's something that hit me in my own journey with anxiety and depression. And that's why I focus on anxiety and depression, because in my 20s and 30s, I didn't know I was dealing with it, but I was. And so then all of a sudden I was searching. Like I was an English lit major. I did not just read poetry and novels just to get a grade. Like I was soul searching everything. I was chewing it apart. Philosophy classes, oh my gosh. I spent like 3 hours on one page of a philosophy book one day, just like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? How does this fit into my life? So it was like serious stuff, and things were evolving and stirring in me that were helping me to come out of the funk that I was in. And from the outside perspective, you guys would have looked at me and gone, what is he talking about? He was not depressed or anxious, man. That guy was doing all sorts of stuff at UCLA, and I got every letter grade possible, by the way, at UCLA. So you struggle as a human being. And one of the things that I finally came to grips with, and I'm going to give it to you in an example. I will take truth from wherever I can find it. And I found a nugget in the New Testament. And this nugget was this historical figure named Christ went through this period of time where he went into what is called the Garden of Gethsemane. And in the Garden of Gethsemane, presumably he was suffering for all the suffering of mankind, whatever that suffering was brought on by. And he has this couplet that was really beautiful. And he says, in a moment of grief, the verses say that he was bleeding from every pore. I have no idea if he was, but the historical account is that the pressures from this experience, whatever he was going through, caused him to bleed from every pore of his body. That's a lot of pressure. So that grief you felt, could you imagine if it got so heavy, you started bleeding, right? And he calls out and he says, hey, God, can you remove this cup from me? What do you think he meant by that?
Take it away.
Take what away? Take my pain away. This is too much. I can't do it. Can you please take my pain away? Do you remember what he said next?
But if it be thy will.
But if it's thy will, I'll do it. So this is when I was like, oh my gosh. When I'm working with people with depression and anxiety, one of the things that's critical is I'll give homework and they'll sometimes look at me and go, I just told you I was depressed. I can't do homework. I don't feel like doing it. To which I'm so sensitive. I say, well, I don't care how you feel. I say it gently. So if you're going to hire me to coach you, I'm not asking you if you want out of this and you want my help out. I'm never going to ask you if you feel like doing anything. Because if I ask you if you feel like doing it, what will you do?
No, say no.
Nothing. I look at my teenagers and that's exactly what they'll do. They don't feel like doing it. This morning we're like, why didn't you do the dishes last night? Because I didn't feel like it. So if we're left to how we feel, not much would get done. So then I realized, oh my gosh, okay, so it's not about necessarily what we feel. If we want to enjoy life and we want to find joy from life. So then I was like, oh my gosh, so this Christ figure, he spoke the what? The truth. He said what about his experience? I don't want to do this. It's too much. So will you, if you can find a way, God, to make this go away, I'd rather not do it. Sorry for all the Christians out there who are like, man, that guy didn't want to do it for me. I thought he died for me, so because he wanted to. He didn't want to do it at one point. But that's freaking rad to have a God figure that just speaks the truth.
Yes.
I love that. He speaks the truth. And then, what does he do? He says what?
But if it be thy will.
If it be thy will, I'll do it. If you tell me about a person, if you ever hung out with a person who's all truth, 100% truth and zero optimism, what do they like to be around? Huh?
Not fun.
It's not fun. I mean, that's like the Debbie Downer of all Debbie Downers. Like, hey, well, I'm just being truthful. I don't want you to be truthful anymore. Be a little optimistic, right? What if you were somebody who's all optimism and zero truth? What's that person like?
Chaos.
It is chaos. It's like, oh my gosh, I have this. I used to kind of be this way. I was up in the clouds all the time. I have the greatest idea, you guys. And people are like, whoa, bring it back down to earth, man. Like, you got to get based in some truth about what's possible. So then I found two things can be true at once. You can be suffering. And in the midst of your suffering, you can also say, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. I'm going to go out and make today the best day I can make it. That's whose choice? That's our choice. So I love what has been said a couple times here. You are exactly right. When I was on my mission, I would stuff my feelings down and go, I can't feel this way. I can't feel this way. I got to go do what I've been asked to do. I can't feel this way. And I would shove and shove and shove. And I thought, oh, that clearly doesn't work. It created a lot of chaos in my life. Then I figured out, oh, you can do both. I can say that this is hard for me. I was a total homebody. So then when I left, it was like I couldn't have any contact with my family. That almost sounds cruel to a homebody, right? Yeah. So it messed me up, but it got me into the line of work I'm in today. So I look and I think, wow, you can do both. I could have said, this is so hard. I don't want to be here. Cried my eyes out. And at the same time said, you know what, I do. There's another part of me that does want to be here. Okay, so this is critical as we go through loss in life to speak the truth that it hurts. That's a normal part of life. One thing that is surefire to cause depression and anxiety and to bury you is when you don't speak the truth about your emotional states. We are all wired to have emotions. I remember working with one girl who I could tell, and you kind of start to read people. I'm not very good with names anymore. I used to be really good with them, but I'm really good with your emotional signature. Like, I can meet with you enough, and I have your emotional thumbprint embedded in my soul. And so when you come in, I know where to pick up where we left off, but I might forget your name. Sorry about that. But what I've noticed in this process of this one girl, I was just kind of reading her emotions and I'm like, oh, she's afraid of anger. So I went up to the whiteboard and I wrote anger, and she literally just started to go like this in her chair, and she's like, oh. And she turned away and I'm like, what's happening for you? She's like, anger's not okay. Anger's not okay? I thought it was a normal human emotion. She's like, that is not an appropriate emotion. We do not express anger in my family. Yeah. But you think that's wow, but some families don't express sadness. You do not, hey, it's a great day, isn't it? Oh, I'm having a rough day. It's so hard for you. No, just get up, let's go, come on, we got this. Some can't feel excitement. Hey, can you bring it down just a little bit? Like, we're trying to be calm in this house. So there's yeah. So there's all these emotional states that some families, you're just not allowed to feel that emotional state. But as a human being, guess what you're wired with? All those emotional states. So part of mental health is expanding your palette of emotions and letting yourself feel it and say it out loud that I'm allowed to feel it. The last thing that we'll go over today is what I call a gratitude bath. One of the things that helps us to work through the mourning that we feel when there's loss is gratitude. A dear friend of mine was out on a highway driving home with his kids. He told all his kids somebody had broken down, so he said, everyone stay in the car and we'll be right back. We're just going to see what this man needs. And his 5-year-old, you can see where this is going, hopped out of the car anyway and got hit and killed by a car driving by. Even though it was out in a country road, it just was the worst timing, possible. Overwhelmed with grief. And one of the things that in this process of even my own working through it was, at what point do we become grateful for the time we had with somebody versus sorrowful for the time we lost or the perceived time that we have lost with them? And stopping and feeling grateful for those moments we have is super important. So there's something, we were together as a family and we were having a family discussion about gratitude, and my wife asked all the kids, and she came to me last, on what they thought the word gratitude meant. And after listening to all of them, all of a sudden I was like, wait, gratitude is the acknowledgement that life is temporary, that our existence is temporary, and that even though we can know that it's temporary, we also simultaneously have the moment together. And it's being grateful and honoring that moment, going, this could be the last time that I see you. So when my friend died last week, he got in a fight with his son 2 days earlier, and they hadn't really mended the fence. Super sad. When my kids, because with other experiences with loss, every day my kids leave the house, I say, wait. And they go, I know, Dad, look me in the eyes. I want to look them in the eyes and just think, if this is the last time I see you, like we have this moment. I used to get so mad at my kids because they get in and out of bed 50 times. And then I'm like, what if I didn't get to see them tomorrow morning? So I have clients who have lost babies in the middle of the night. We think we want life to be forever, but the reality is it's not. And so then now I massage my kids' feet. I sing them songs. And I just go, dude, I don't care what you have on your plate that you think you need to get done. If this is the last time you get to spend with your child, what do you want this moment to look like? This is now what I call a gratitude bath. You start bathing yourself in gratitude. And it literally can become who you are as a person, where you walk around feeling grateful. So here's how a gratitude bath works. You think about things that you think you really cherish in the world. And then you think about that thing that you cherish being gone. Your health, your bank account, your best friend, your spouse, your children, a next door neighbor. And you think, okay, wow, what if they were gone? Before that, you plummet into an anxiety attack or into major depression. You don't let yourself go there. You just think, what if they were gone? And then you think, oh wait, they're not though. I have them right here. And you bask in that moment of gratitude. Oh, how freaking lucky am I? See, I am the cusser. I just said freaking again. How freaking lucky am I to be right here with you right now? This could be the last time we ever see each other. Stop for just a moment, and now I'm going to invite you to do this. Take both of your hands and put them over your heart. And for a small moment, just think about someone or something that you cherish in your life. Imagine them gone. And then for a small moment, bring it back and just say, wow, but they're not. They're right here. And feel the gratitude. Feel how lucky you are. You know instinctively it can be taken from you. You know that. That client who annoys the crap out of you sometimes, think about them and just think, oh, if they were gone, my heart would break. And let the love of the universe fill your soul. This is a freaking rad life. It is rad. So I invite you to bathe yourself in gratitude. You can write a list of things you're grateful for, but I invite you to practice bathing yourself in gratitude every day. And pretty soon, you just kind of start getting good at it. And then every day you're like, you look at your little kid and you think, I kind of wish you were gone today, but I'm glad you're not gone. We're right here together. And then you just go, oh, I'm so lucky. We have each other right now. This has been a real honor to be with all of you today. I feel super lucky. And I know there's a billion angles we could have talked about loss from, but I just want you to know one thing. Speak your truth when you lose someone or something. Just own it. Be sorrowful. Let it come out. Don't be like I was on my mission and pack it all down. Just let it out. Simultaneously say, you know what? I can feel sad, but I'm also going to go out and live my best life. I'm going to do both today. And go out and live your best life. And cherish every moment. Let it fill you with gratitude that you're alive. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We were on the same wavelength. So I made one of these for everybody. My youngest son, that's 18, is memes all the time, and he told me about this meme, and this one was a Cookie Monster meme, and it said, "Me no cry because Cookie is finished, me smile because Cookie happened." and that's, you know, when I think of my life when I've lost, you know, I had a client that passed away a year ago, and she was my heart. But I got to hold her hand as she died. And it took a lot out of me. I don't take time off. I took a week off. But the joy and the richness she added to my life, I would never want to give that back. So I just appreciate how much everybody does for our clients. You make a difference. So everybody can take the treat when they go, and we're just so thankful that you came. So there's a little thing for you. And I remember when I was starting with Aspen, that was one of the things I loved about this place, was that Gary was just the most grateful person I had ever met in my life. And when you're first starting gratitude, it can be hard. I remember I'm fine, I'm thankful that I'm breathing, or, you know, whatever. But yeah, you have to start somewhere, and then it just gets easier, and then it can just envelop your whole life, and you can have hard days and be sad, but then you just kind of have that underlayer of just gratitude for everything. So if that's one thing I wish that, you know, everybody could get from this, and just, I know not everybody knew Gary, but that would make him the happiest ever, is if we could all have that gratitude and stuff. So anyway, thank you for coming. Yes.
Yeah, just interesting with gratitude. There's a Dr. Daniel Amen who does a lot of brain research and stuff, and he says, you know, of course we want to be positive, but he said actually what is more healing for the brain and stuff is gratitude.
So thank you again for coming today.